My friends, let me tell you something straight and clear. The world does not reward those who almost make it. It rewards the ones who stay when it gets hard, who rise when they fall, and who keep walking when the path disappears under their feet. The moment you say, "I will never quit," life starts to take you seriously, because when you refuse to quit, life has no choice but to yield. Pain is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Every ache, every setback, every disappointment carries a lesson that comfort could never teach you. You see, pain refines you. It burns away the weakness that keeps you small. The problem is, most people confuse pain with punishment, when in truth, it's preparation. Pain is the price of progress. It's the toll you pay on the road to greatness. But here's what separates the winners from the quitters. The winners understand that pain is temporary. It comes to test your commitment, not to end your journey. When you quit, though, that's when pain becomes permanent. Because quitting doesn't erase the discomfort. It seals it. It turns what could have been a passing season into a lifelong regret. The regret of what could have been weighs far heavier than the effort it would have taken to endure. When you quit, you trade momentary relief for permanent disappointment. But when you endure, you trade momentary pain for permanent pride. Think of every person who's ever achieved something extraordinary. They didn't escape pain. They outlasted it. The runner with burning lungs, the entrepreneur facing rejection after rejection, the student studying late into the night, they all felt the sting of struggle. But they whispered to themselves, "Just a little longer." And that little longer made all the difference. Pain says, "Stop." Discipline says, "Keep going." Faith says, "It's worth it." So when you find yourself in the middle of the storm, don't pray for the storm to stop. Pray for the strength to last through it. Because the moment you decide that quitting is not an option, pain loses its power. It may stay for a while, but it can't break you anymore. The truth is, pain shapes you. It builds a version of you that comfort never could. And when it's over, you'll look back and realize you didn't just survive it, you became someone because of it. So don't run from pain. Don't surrender to it. Stand tall, breathe deep, and remind yourself, this is temporary, but quitting would last forever. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. It's the quiet force that carries you when your emotions fade, when the excitement dies, and when motivation takes a day off. You see, emotion is a great spark. It can start a fire, but discipline keeps it burning through the long, cold nights. The difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or opportunity. It's discipline. Because emotion is seasonal, but discipline is steady. There will be days when you wake up ready to conquer the world, and there will be days when you don't even want to get out of bed. The disciplined person shows up on both days. They've made a decision that their actions won't be controlled by their feelings. And that's the real secret. Your feelings are not always your friends. They whisper excuses, they exaggerate difficulty, and they protect comfort. But discipline tells the truth. It says, do it anyway. Emotion says, I don't feel like it today. Discipline replies, that's exactly why you must. Emotion lives for the moment, but discipline lives for the vision. Discipline doesn't care how you feel right now. It cares about who you're becoming. It's the invisible muscle that strengthens every time you follow through on a promise to yourself. Each small act of consistency, each time you keep going when you'd rather stop, adds another brick to the foundation of your character. Discipline is freedom disguised as work. Most people think it's a restriction, but in reality, it's the only way to unlock your potential. Without discipline, you become a slave to your moods. With discipline, you become the master of your destiny. The great ones, athletes, artists, leaders, they don't rely on feeling inspired. They rely on habits. They built a system so strong that even when their hearts weren't in it, their actions still were. You have to decide that your commitment means more than your comfort, because feelings come and go, but the results of discipline last forever. When you let discipline take control, it doesn't matter if you're tired, distracted, or uninspired. You'll still move forward. And over time, that quiet persistence will do something emotion never could. It will build a life of substance, stability, and success. So, don't chase motivation. Build discipline, because one day, when emotion fails you, and it will, discipline will still be standing, holding the door open to your dreams. Fear is not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that you're human. Every person who has ever done something great has felt it. The trembling before the leap, the uncertainty before the decision, the doubt before the breakthrough. It's universal. The difference is that the winners, the achievers, the builders of dreams, don't let fear make their choices for them. They feel the same fear you do, but they move anyway. They've learned to walk with fear, to dance with it, to make it a companion rather than a captor. Most people wait for fear to disappear before they act, but fear doesn't leave. It only shifts its shape. It whispers, "What if you fail?" Then when you succeed, it whispers again, "What if you can't do it again?" Fear never runs out of questions, but winners never run out of courage. They simply answer fear with movement, because action is the antidote to anxiety. Every step forward makes fear a little quieter, a little smaller, a little weaker. You see, fear feeds on hesitation. The longer you wait, the stronger it gets. But the moment you take a step, even a small one, you strip fear of its power. Winners have learned that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to act while it's still present. They know that the door to success always has fear standing guard. The only way to open it is to walk right through it. When you see someone confident, bold, unstoppable, don't assume they were born fearless. They just decided that fear would not decide their fate. They understood something simple yet profound. Fear is temporary, but regret is forever. The pain of trying and failing fades. The pain of never trying does not. So, when fear whispers that you're not ready, remember no one ever truly feels ready. You prepare as best you can, and then you move anyway. Winners feel the same heartbeat of uncertainty before every big step, but they translate that energy into motion. They turn fear into fuel. Where most people freeze, they push. Where most retreat, they advance. And that's the edge. That's the small, invisible difference between average and extraordinary. So when you feel afraid, don't let it stop you. Let it remind you that you're standing on the edge of growth. Fear only shows up when something important is at stake. It's the sign you're stepping beyond your limits. And if you keep walking, keep trusting, keep moving despite it, you'll discover that fear doesn't vanish. You simply outgrow it. Remember, the brave don't live without fear, they live above it. And that's why they win. Success is not built in leaps. It's built in steps. Small, ordinary, consistent steps that may look insignificant in the moment, but carry the power to transform your entire life over time. The greatest mistake people make is believing that if progress isn't dramatic, it doesn't matter. But every step counts, even the small ones, especially the small ones, because success is not a single event. It's the result of hundreds, even thousands, of quiet decisions to keep going when no one is watching. You don't climb a mountain in one jump. You climb it step by step, inch by inch, one careful movement at a time. Every small effort, every workout, every study session, every early morning, every late night, is a brick in the wall of your success. On their own, they might not seem like much, but together, they create something powerful: momentum. Momentum is invisible at first. It builds in silence, and then suddenly, one day, everything changes. People call it luck. You'll know it was the accumulation of small steps done consistently. The reason most people quit is because they underestimate the power of small beginnings. They want instant results, instant recognition, instant success. But life doesn't work that way. The seed doesn't become a tree overnight. It grows slowly, quietly, underground where no one can see it. And then one day, it breaks through the soil and stands tall. Your journey is no different. Just because you can't see immediate progress doesn't mean growth isn't happening. Those little steps you take daily, they're training your character. They're building habits. They're shaping your mindset. Even when it feels like nothing is changing, you are changing. And that's the foundation of lasting success. Because what you do repeatedly, even in small doses, defines the direction of your life. The secret to mastery is not intensity, it's consistency. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you take one more step forward when it would have been easier to stop, you're sending a message to yourself that says, "I'm not giving up." And that message compounds over weeks, over months, over years. It turns into confidence, capability, and eventually, success. So don't wait for the big moment. Focus on the small actions that lead to it. Don't despise humble beginnings, celebrate them. Because every great story starts small. Every champion was once a beginner who took one step, and then another and another. Your responsibility is not to do everything at once. It's simply to keep moving. The beauty of progress is that even the smallest step in the right direction still takes you closer to your goal. It might not look like much today, but keep stacking those steps, keep taking those tiny actions, and one day, you'll look back and realize the small things weren't small at all. They were everything. Every great success story has one thing in common: a moment when giving up would have been easier, and one more try made all the difference. Life often hides your greatest rewards behind your greatest resistance. That moment when everything feels too heavy, too far, too impossible, that's not the end. That's the test. It's life's way of asking, do you really want this? Most people stop right before the finish line, not because they lack potential, but because they lose patience. The truth is, your breakthrough is rarely visible until after you've earned it. It hides behind persistence. When you've failed again and again, when the doors keep closing, when the results don't match your effort, it's tempting to believe it's not meant to be. But that's when the magic happens, when you push past that point of exhaustion, when you say, "Let me try one more time." Because that next attempt, that one extra effort, may not be the biggest, but it could be the one that finally tips the scale. Think about every inventor, every athlete, every leader who changed the world. They weren't the ones who got it right the first time. They were the ones who refused to quit after the 100th. Thomas Edison once said, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." That's not just a quote. It's a truth of life. You'll never know how close you were until you keep going. The reason your breakthrough hides is because it's meant to shape you, not just reward you. The struggle refines you into the kind of person capable of handling success. Without the grind, you wouldn't have the gratitude. Without the resistance, you wouldn't have the resilience. You must be tested before you're trusted with the next level. That's why life delays the reward. It's not denying you, it's developing you. When you say, "One more try," you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people quit at discomfort. The few who persist through it, they discover something powerful: momentum. Momentum comes from repetition. Each new attempt builds skill, sharpens your mindset, and increases your chance of success. You may not see progress right away, but every try adds pressure to the door that's waiting to open. One day, that door will give way, not because it suddenly became weak, but because you finally applied enough force. So, when you feel tired, defeated, or overlooked, pause if you must, but don't stop. Tell yourself just one more try. That one decision could be the bridge between average and exceptional, between almost and achieved. Every great comeback started with someone who refused to stop trying. Remember, failure is never final until you quit. Success doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's waiting quietly behind your next effort. So dig deep, breathe, and give it one more push. Because the moment you do, you might just discover that the breakthrough you've been chasing was never far away. It was right behind one more try. So, my friend, if you're tired, rest, but don't quit. If you've fallen, get back up, but don't quit. Because the world doesn't remember the ones who stopped halfway. It remembers the ones who refused to stop. When you make "I will never quit" your life philosophy, no storm can drown you, no failure can define you, and no obstacle can defeat you. Say it again with conviction. I will never quit. And the world will step aside for the man or woman who means it.